Session 3, which is our plenary session for the day. The topic here is partnership and the role of the diaspora. This session is going to be led by our very own Ambassador Mulamula, who's here with us. Will chair this panel together with our very own also Ben Kazora, who is also the president of the East Africa Diaspora Business Council. He is also president of the Dallas Tanzania community, and the list continues. He is a true, I call him Mr. Diaspora. He's a true Mr. Diaspora, very, very active in the field.
So this is going to be exciting, so that when we are done here, Ben is going to introduce them, but I'm saying when we are done here, the takeaway would be that when a bong or when they get into the office, then they see diaspora on their screen. Every time I engage them, I always challenge them. I said, where is Tanzania diaspora? They are not very visible. But by being here, I'm sure after this, I will always find diaspora on your screen. So Ben, if you could introduce them, and let's get started. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Ambassador Mulamula, and without wasting any more time, I would like to call upon the panelists. As you can see, it's a very distinguished panel, and what we're going to do moving forward is give each of these panelists a few minutes to talk about what they do and how that relates to the diaspora. And because this good doctor talked about information sharing, and I hope this culture will be broken today where you can hear from both sides, from the Honorary Council, from the U.S. government, and from people who are back home. So we hope this, again, this session will break that ice and will start a new culture where information is open and available to everyone. Susan, karibu.
Thank you very much, Ben Kazora. Honorable Chief Secretary, which is a guest of honor, Honorable City Mayor, Honorable Ambassador Mulamula, Permanent Secretaries, members of Diplomatic Corps, members of diaspora around the world, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Salam alaikum. Praise the Lord. You know, I find it very difficult to do any presentation after lunch. As Mulamula said, it's quite difficult. Everyone just wants to relax and enjoy. But I promise I'm going to be very brief. My name is Susan Mzee. Like Ben Kazora said, I'm an advisor, personal assistant and advisor to the Prime Minister of the United Republic of Tanzania, dealing with diaspora, regional economic blocks, and investment matters. I was a diaspora, so I'm a diaspora returnee myself. So diaspora issues are very close to my heart. Ben Kazora was just saying I should share with you how I got to where I am. But I think it's very simple. The reason I decided to go home and the reason I am where I am today is because of these communities. I got involved in a lot of community activities. I was involving myself when I was back in the UK. I was a member of Tanzania Diaspora. I was a founder and chairperson of Association of Tanzanian Women in Diaspora. I got involved into everything relating to communities, Tanzania communities. So that's how I got it. And I always tell people that if you dedicate yourself into doing diaspora activities, into caring about your home, into promoting Tanzania, you will get there. And whatever dreams that you have, you can achieve them. Everyone has a dream, but in order for the dream to become a reality, it needs an awful lot of time, effort, dedication, and determination. So that is my little secret, and it's not a secret because I like to share with people. So whatever you want to do, if you put your mind to it, you will get there. Okay, the government of the United Republic of Tanzania would like to acknowledge the appreciation. I don't know whether you can hear me. Okay? That Dakota has organized. We really appreciate, because it's never easy to organize an event of this magnitude. And the last time I was at the Dakota conference was back in 2012. And actually, when I attended that conference, I was only a month into my job. So it was an honor, and I'm really excited to join you again. And thank you very much for honoring me to at least take the stage and say something small. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, on the previous Dakota, I did say about what Tanzania government should do to engage diaspora better and obviously put diaspora into the national agenda. As I said before, I was new to the job, so I wanted to create something that will engage diaspora better. And I'm glad to say, before I continue, I would like to pass on the regards from the Prime Minister of the United Republic of Tanzania. He did send me, he gave me his full blessing. He is with you, even though he could not be here, but he gives his warm welcome and wish you a successful deliberation. Like I say, as I pointed out on the previous Dakota, diaspora can contribute immensely in 4 ways. The first one being transfer of remittances, investment opportunities, transfer of skills and know-how, and supply of equipment on various sectors of the economy, such as health, education, etc. And it is for these benefits that the government of Tanzania, in particular the Prime Minister's Office, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Diaspora Department, and President Office in Zanzibar decided to do some of the following. So I'll just mention what we've done so far in terms of diaspora engagement. First of all, we did establishment of Diaspora Task Force, which comprises of representatives from different ministries and institutions. The reason being, with this desk, you can't work alone. So you need other ministries and institutions in order to put everything together in order to make successful diaspora engagement. And that's what we did. And we've actually managed to successfully implement different activities. The second thing we did was the first Diaspora Homecoming Conference. I'm sure some of you are aware of what happened back in August this year. And the reason we decided to do the first Diaspora Homecoming Conference in Tanzania was because most of these conferences are done abroad, as you know, but in Tanzania, most people are not sensitized about the importance of diaspora. So we decided to bring it back home, especially with the new constitution being discussed. It was very important and timely to do this type of conferences. So that's what we've done, and it was very successful. We did partner with Tanzania Diaspora Initiative, which is a private institution. It's actually diasporans who were returnees back home. They decided to form an organization. So that was very successful. I'm really sorry. Thank you. Another thing that was done is the creation of the diaspora website, which is called www.tanzaniadiaspora.org. If you go and visit that website, you can get a lot of information regarding investment, opportunities, employment, and diaspora database, as well as different news that you can get from home. The fourth issue that has been done as well is the Sabasaba booth. For the first time, diaspora has got a banda, did have a banda at Sabasaba, and the main issue as well is to make our presence known in the Tanzania community, that diaspora is there. And since it was the first, there were not many diaspora involved in that. But now that you know, you are most welcome on the next year's Sabasaba, where you can showcase your talent and your products and everything good that diaspora has to offer. I know I have got 2 minutes and I'm going to go in a minute. Thank you. I still have time. The fifth one is Diaspora Resource Center. This Diaspora Resource Center, we're going to set up a resource center where you can get information about lucrative investment and career opportunities in Tanzania. Obviously, more information is going to be disseminated to you in due course, but that is what we've done so far. And obviously, for 2 years in the office, I think we've done pretty well. But we're only human beings, and sometimes there are areas where we lack and areas that we need our input from you, because I believe that all these desks and the departments would not function without diaspora inputs. I would like again to congratulate the DICOTA who have pushed this diaspora agenda forward, and please never give up, move on, and yeah, thank you very much.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much to DICOTA for inviting me to this convention. I'm very, very happy to be here to represent the U.S. Trade and Development Agency, which is an agency that really, I think, is very well suited to your theme, both your overall theme of enhancing and empowering Tanzanians to promote economic growth, socioeconomic growth, and also this very panel, which is focused on partnerships. I have to, before I continue, thank Ambassador Mulamula, who I have to tell you is the most effective advocate and tireless advocate for Tanzania, and a great friend of USTDA. I also very much appreciated Ambassador Safue's comments this morning about opportunities for partnership, and I hope today just to go through how one agency in U.S. government hopes to encourage such partnerships. It's restarting. Okay. Well, I'll just continue, and hopefully the slides will pop back up. So USTDA is an independent U.S. government agency that is tasked to link U.S. businesses to global infrastructure opportunities all over the world. A couple of things to just focus on and keep in mind with USTDA. One is that we focus exclusively in emerging economies. So we are tasked with advancing economic growth, and we think that that is obviously key, and when you consider that those markets are growing at 3 to 4 times the rate of industrialized nations, we think we are where US companies actually really want to be. The other thing to keep in mind is that we focus also on what you would call infrastructure projects, large infrastructure development projects, because those go to the developmental needs of our partners in emerging economies. And so with that as the sort of backdrop, if you can keep that in mind as I go along and talking about partnerships, bear in mind that US companies might be any one of you who have companies in these areas that I talk about. I had a slide that had a ratio on it of 73:1. That was just to indicate that USTDA's work results in about $23 billion of US exports, and that's been over the last 10 years. It's supported about 110,000 jobs in the United States, and that ends up in a ratio of, for every dollar that we program, it results in $73 of US exports. So there is a direct relationship to the work and the investments that we make. In terms of, let me just see where I was going to. It's difficult to do it without the slides, actually, as you think about it. So I want to just talk a little bit about how we accomplish our mission. And I think I would encapsulate it in sort of 3 words: access, opportunity, and support. So we work with our overseas partners, and when I say overseas partners or overseas project sponsors, what I'm really talking about is an entity abroad. It could be in Tanzania in this case, or any other African country or any other region of the world that we work. It could be a public sector or private sector partner, and that partner must have the ability to make decisions with respect to implementing projects and be able to implement infrastructure projects. So those are our partners. So we work on creating access between U.S. companies and such partners, and so that the U.S. companies have the ability to build relationships which will ultimately, we hope, end in mutually beneficial partnerships. We also sort of talk about the opportunity to build these relationships and to take part in projects. And then finally, the support aspect is supporting those relationships continuing to go into partnerships. And so with that, I want to just mention a little bit in detail what I mean by access. So we have a couple of tools, what we call them tools, in our toolkit. One would be a reverse trade mission, where we bring foreign delegations from abroad to observe the manufacture, design, operation of U.S. technology. It was interesting. I think we didn't see all of Dr. Peterson's slides, but it seems as if you were going in the area of a technology or something that could redound to the benefit of a sort of a large-scale project. So, for example, we would bring foreign delegates to the United States to get an understanding of what this new technology is. We also host conferences and workshops abroad in the host countries so that we can look at sectors and talk about projects that are upcoming, and again, give companies the opportunity to meet with the project sponsors in their locale. I would then move on to, and that is again in the connecting people so that you can build partnerships. Another thing that we do is try to get U.S. businesses and companies involved in the early stages when a project is being planned, so that you might be putting together your design criteria, your technical analysis. And so we will provide grants to our foreign partners to fund that kind of early project planning analysis, like a feasibility study or a technical assistance. I'll give you just two examples of that very briefly. Just this past summer, we provided a grant to the University of Dodoma to look at the feasibility of building a solar-powered plant on the campus of the university. They're going to hope to do this in stages, so that at first they're funding the university hospital, then hopefully it would go to the campus, and then finally, hopefully, provide power to the grid. So we provided a grant to the university to look at this project in partnership with a U.S. company called Hecate Energy. And it is hoped that with that, we will stand up a project and implement a project in the end, but with this very targeted, focused beginning. And I'm going to just race through these first few slides. And how do I advance? There we go. Perfect. Okay, so we can skip all of this. We talked about access, reverse trade missions, workshops, feasibility studies I've talked about, technical assistance. Here we look at how do we enhance the environment, either by regulatory reform or helping legal development to really build an atmosphere, an environment for trade. Because again, it's all about being able to enhance trade and build partnerships for that. We also might help to set industry standards, as that is something that is also conducive to trade. I guess as an example of a technical assistance, I think it's helpful just to give some examples of what we're talking about. A couple of years ago, we provided a grant to the Bank of Tanzania because they were interested in upgrading their IT systems. And so we funded a feasibility study to look at developing an IT roadmap so that they could then move forward with implementation of that project. That project was successfully completed. It ended with a bankable study that they could then go and get implementation financing for to then modernize and expand their IT system. Just to give one brief anecdote, and I know probably time is going, of a success story, we like to call it that. We held a reverse trade mission about a year or two ago on the aviation sector, and included amongst the delegates was Susan Mashibe, who is a pioneer, if you will, in Tanzania in that sector, particularly in business aviation. And she was looking to grow her business and came on the delegation, met with several U.S. manufacturers and companies, and was able to take from that expertise to develop and grow, and so much so that we're holding a second visit, and she's coming at her own cost, she tells us, because she found the experience of connecting and relationship building, going to deal making to be very helpful to her business. Just to go to the sort of technical part of what we do, we specialize, or I would say focus on a couple of sectors, because we've been given to understand by our private sector colleagues and our African private and public sector partners that these are sectors where there is huge impact to be had in terms of development. And so we focus on energy, on transportation, and on telecom infrastructure and ICT. We also work a little bit in other sectors such as agribusiness, water, health, the environment, but these are really our key sectors. I'm going to skip the Power Africa. Suffice it to say that we are very, very proud to be able to support President Obama in his initiative to increase access to power to 20,000. Actually, that's further been increased to 60,000 households. And thank you. I will wrap it up. And to increase the amount of electricity over, well, it was 10,000. Now we're going up to 30,000. We've worked very hard to provide support to that. Just to give you an idea of our funding criteria, there's got to be a developmental priority in the host country, likelihood of success of receiving financing, and also, this is where the partnership and the mutuality of benefit comes into it, the opportunity for U.S. exports to result. I will skip that. It's just saying that we support people like you, people in the diaspora who might have businesses that speak to these kinds of sectors, and we support that by letting our project sponsors know what you do and know what we can do and what exists here in terms of technology. We provide market intelligence. We let U.S. companies who are interested in expanding their markets abroad know of the procurement possibilities. And we also, as I mentioned, facilitate meetings and connections and growing partnerships. Finally, there is a myriad of ways to get involved with USTDA. I haven't mentioned other areas where I believe companies that diaspora members might be involved in would be very helpful. We can't do anything that we do without technical expertise and advice, and I know many of you have those kinds of skills. And so in addition to that, you would have, being from countries that we work in, like Tanzania, an additional layer of information and expertise, that being cultural, that would be very useful in developing these projects. So, diaspora companies and others work as technical advisors to us. They help us evaluate the success of our projects, which is also very important. As the U.S. government agency, we have to show that we are using taxpayers' money wisely. And so that's another area where expertise is required. I think I will leave it at that. Suffice to say, if you're interested, I'm happy to answer any questions afterwards. And I've listed, because one of the best ways to get in touch with us is actually just to call and talk to our staff, who are very accessible. And so I've ended the slides with all of their information and have some handouts that I can give out afterwards with that information as well. Thank you very much. Sorry to go over.
Thank you so much. And once everybody's done, we'll have a Q&A session where I'm sure a lot of questions will be answered. And without further ado, let me invite one of our diaspora members, Steve, who is here with us. and we'll hear a little bit about what he does and how that fits in the whole program.
Thank you, Ben. It's an honor to be here with a great panel, as you can see. Let me start by, first of all, just getting to know you a little better. So I have a poll. I just want to ask you if you believe Tanzania is rising. Raise your hand. Okay, great. And if you don't believe Tanzania is rising, raise your hand. Okay, just one. Okay, great. All right. I believe Tanzania is rising. So truly, Tanzania is rising. You know, I'm from the investment space. You know, as Ben said, I work for a bank, and it's one of the, let's say it's the oldest bank. It's the first bank in the history of the United States. So the bank also believes in Africa rising. So it's actually a good thing, you know. So being from the investment space, I can say that those who have a long-time vision of Tanzania believe that investment and trade is profound factors in prosperity of average Tanzanians. So I'm sure all of you agree on that. So we, diaspora, you know, such as myself, we are trying to do as much as we can to engage ourselves in the activities or the good stories that we're hearing about Tanzania, what's going on in Tanzania today. And I truly believe that we can participate fully rather than just being spectators, or rather just being people just sitting back and watching what's really going on in Tanzania. So actually, as you know, probably you have heard, there's three types of people. First of all, there's those people who make it happen, and those people who actually let it happen, and those people who wonder what happened. So as we diaspora, we don't want to be those people who wonder what happened. We want to be part of the engagement, partnership at the local level, I mean at the individual level, business level, community level, or whatever, just to make sure that we're also being a part of a story, the success story of Tanzania. As a diaspora, I think we have reasons why we can do this, why we can participate fully. There's a couple of reasons. First of all, let's say there's 5 reasons that I know myself that we can do it. First reason